It starts right here under the big blue sky, where raw ambition meets the heavy weight of pure solid gold on the digital scale. We take a look closer than a hawk in flight as high technology maps out the very soul of this precious yellow metal treasure. Behind these heavy steel doors lies a world of secrets where folks in white suits guard the magic that makes time stand absolutely still. Inside the belly of the beast machines with eyes sharper than a coyote, watch over every single sparkling diamond rolling down the long line. It takes a gentle touch to sort the stones and a mighty arm of steel to lift the heavy sheets that build our dreams. We march these blocks straight into the belly of the fire, where the heat is hotter than a Texas summer afternoon on the porch. Out of the flames comes something beautiful, and our mechanical hands pick out the finest colored stones with the grace of a river dancer. Before we can find the beauty hidden deep inside, we have to map the rough and rugged landscape of every single jagged stone face. Technology meets the wild frontier as we grab hold of raw gold nuggets that are waiting to be transformed into something truly world-class. Now you take a look at this fine green hide that a master craftsman smooths out with hands that know the meaning of hard work. From the workshop table, we dive deep into the water where the shells shimmer like the morning sun hitting a clear hill country stream. We cut through the toughest black fiber with razor precision, and if it is not absolutely perfect, well then it simply does not cut. Watch that liquid fire pour hot and heavy into the mold while our scanners build a ghost image of the future right on screen. We use the power of lightning to slice through the hardest metal like a hot knife through butter, guided by a colorful digital map. While the wire cuts deep, we check the grain of the finest timber to make sure it is strong enough to stand the test. Science takes the lead as we burn a path through clear crystal that is tougher than a $2 steak and twice as pretty. There is nothing quite like seeing solid gold fly through the air as big machines carve out a masterpiece from a heavy metal block. We drill down deep into the silver heart of the matter, creating a foundation that will hold up strong for generations down the line. The machines never sleep, and they swap out their tools faster than a cowboy draws his pistol when high noon rolls around the clock. Water sprays everywhere to keep things cool, while the steel cutter dances around the case, carving curves that are smooth as a country road. When that wheel hits the metal, the sparks fly high like fireworks on the 4th of July, smoothing out every single rough and rugged edge. It takes a flood of water to tame the heat as we carve through solid steel with the power of a raging river torrent. After the heavy lifting is done, we send in a delicate ruby finger to feel the surface and make sure the measurements are true. Once we know it fits, we wash away the grime with scrubbing brushes that leave the metal shining brighter than a new silver dollar. From the wash, we move to cutting black fiber that is strong as a bull but light as a feather on the warm breeze. We use a beam of pure blue light to burn our name into the steel, leaving a mark that will last forever and a day. Then comes the tiny drill that spins so fast it screams punching holes in brass that are smaller than a speck of prairie dust. The carousel spins round and round like a carnival ride, moving parts to the next station with a rhythm that never misses a beat. We brush the steel until it has a grain as fine as wheat in the field, catching the light in a soft silver glow. Now we cut the threads deep inside the hole so everything holds together tight when the going gets tough out on the open range. We clean out the shavings and use the laser again to draw fine lines inside the ring where only the sharpest eyes can see. We put these watches through a lightning storm in a box to make sure they can handle the shock of a wild Texas thunderstorm. A spark of fire joins two pieces of metal together, forever welding them stronger than the bond between a horse and his rider. A gentle robot hand picks up the clear glass and presses it down into the case with a touch as soft as velvet. We dunk it deep to check for leaks before looking through the glass to see the tiny teeth of gears that drive the time. We carve out the brass plate with golden chips flying, making a skeleton frame that lets you see the beating heart deep down inside. Then we dip the whole rack into a bubbling bath that shakes off the dirt and leaves the metal pure as mountain spring water. The cutter bites into the steel wheel to make teeth that will mesh together perfectly, turning the power into seconds, minutes, and hours. We spin a thin rod of brass until it is smooth and round, making an axle that will carry the weight of time itself. Watch that tiny spring breathe in and out like a living thing, keeping the rhythm steady and true through every single passing day. We sort the heartbeat springs with care and press red rubies into the plate like planting seeds in the fertile earth of spring. The laser cuts a gear shape quicker than lightning strikes a fence post, while the mill carves bridges small enough for a flea. We carve lines in the metal that shine like ripples on a pond, turning simple steel into something fit for a Sunday best. The lathe cuts deep grooves and spins threads so fine you would need hawk eyes to see where the metal ends and begins. A steady hand rubs the gold until it gleams, showing patience that is harder to find these days than rain in a drought. We take a straight wire and bend it into a perfect coil, twisting metal with a grace that makes the hard work look easy. The drill dances around this tiny cage, punching holes with a rhythm that keeps on going until the job is done just right. With tweezers in hand, we place a red jewel into its golden home, careful not to shake like a leaf in the wind. The machine pops tiny balls into the race one by one, building a bearing that will roll smoother than a tumbleweed on asphalt. We drive a steel pin straight into the heart of the brass gear, making a connection that is tight as a drum head. Watch that cutter slice through the brass wheel to make teeth that bite, turning round and round in a perfect circle of time. We lower the baskets into the bath, where sound waves shake the dirt loose, leaving nothing behind but pure and clean, shiny metal. A robot arm picks out the smallest screws from the pile, never missing a beat as it sorts through the jumble of parts. That big press comes down with a heavy thud, punching out steel discs with the force of a stampede running through the canyon. Now we carve a pattern into the face that swirls and turns, guided by a machine that has been around since the old days. An artist takes a brush as fine as a hair and paints blue onto the white dial with a touch soft as a whisper. We bake the paint in an oven hot enough to melt your boots, locking in that color so it never ever fades away. The cutter snaps through the mother-of-pearl shell, slicing a piece that shines with all the colors of a Texas rainbow trout. Hand tools scratch a design into the shell surface, creating a swirl that looks just like the wind blowing through the high grass. A machine picks up a diamond and sets it down on the dial, adding a little sparkle that catches the eye from afar. Soft silicone pads pick up the ink and press it down gently onto the face, leaving a mark that is clear as day. Then we carve out a little window for the date, cutting through the metal with a whine that tells you it is working. A beam of light traces the shape of time itself, cutting out hands from blue steel that are thin as a blade of grass. We fill those hands with paint that glows in the dark night so you can always find your way home when the sun sets. A mechanical hand picks up the finished piece with a grip that is firm, but careful not to leave a single scratch behind. We drill and cut away everything we do not need, leaving a skeleton frame that is strong enough to hold the whole world up. Under the glass, we look for any flaw, because if it is not perfect, it does not leave this room to see the light. We stack the trays high in a room that is quiet as a church, keeping the parts safe until it is their turn. Now the real magic begins at the bench, where steady hands and sharp eyes bring all these little metal pieces to life together. A machine presses a red jewel into the plate with a heavy thud, making a smooth home for the gears to spin around. We lower the bridge and drive the screws down tight, locking everything in place so it stays put through the roughest of rides. The robot arm reaches down to grab a gear so small you might miss it if you blinked your eyes at the wrong time. Here comes the heart of the matter, the balance wheel that rocks back and forth to keep the beat steady and strong forever. We pick up another ruby that glows like a coal in the fire, ready to catch the tip of a spinning metal axle. A quick zap of the laser adjusts the balance, making sure it swings true, without a wobble to throw off the perfect rhythm. We watch the spring breathe in and out on the screen, checking that the heartbeat is regular as a train on the tracks. We press in the big barrel that holds the power, storing up energy like a coiled snake ready to strike at any moment. Suddenly, the whole thing wakes up and starts to move gears, turning and clicking with a life that is all its own now. The robot sets the fork that ticks and talks, controlling the flow of power so time passes exactly as it ought to do. A tiny needle drops a spot of oil right where it is needed, keeping the friction down so the engine runs smooth always. The oscillating weight drops into place with a solid click, ready to catch every move you make and turn it into power. We drive in screws of tempered blue steel that hold tight against the strain, looking as pretty as a bluebonnet in the spring. A laser measures the height before we press the hands down, making sure they clear the deck and sweep without a single hitch. Listen close to that rapid beat on the machine, a rhythm as steady and reliable as a good horse on a long trail. A steady hand guides the second hand home, a delicate touch that means the difference between just good and absolutely top-notch quality. Down the line, the robots work in harmony, setting hands on watch after watch with a speed that no man could ever match. The screens glow with lines and numbers that tell us the heart is strong and ready to run for days on end. We sink the case deep underwater and push the pressure high, watching for bubbles that would spell trouble out in the rain. A tiny hammer taps the arm just so, tuning the beat until it sings true like a fiddle at a country dance. We surround it with copper coils and invisible fields to prove that nothing can shake its rhythm, not even a magnetic storm. The master looks deep through the glass lens, searching for any little flaw that might hide from a quick and casual glance. With nerves of steel, we lower the movement into the shell, a perfect fit that is tight as a glove on a hand. A black rubber seal stretches into the groove, the silent guardian that keeps the dust and the water from getting inside the works. The tool spins fast to lock the back down tight, sealing up the secrets inside where they will stay safe and sound forever. A probe pushes down on the crystal glass to check the strength, making sure it can take a hit without cracking under pressure. Fingers grip the metal crown and thread it in a connection between man and machine that feels solid and right to the touch. A tiny drop of glue locks it all down a small detail that makes sure nothing comes loose when the road gets bumpy. The machine punches those buttons over and over again, testing the action to ensure it snaps back every single time without a fail. We drill into the side of the case with a scream of metal, making way for a valve that handles deep sea pressure. Into the water it goes for the final test, proving it can swim with the big fish and come out completely dry. The wheel spins and buffs that steel until it shines like a mirror reflecting the bright sun on a clear Texas morning sky. We turn the bezel round and listen to the click, a sound as satisfying as a deadbolt locking the door for the night. Look deep inside the open heart and see the gears turning a mechanical dance that never stops for anyone or anything at all. Before we cut the metal, we dream it up in lines of light on a screen that glows in the dark room. A steady hand guides the blade through the leather hide, slicing clean and true, just like a cowboy carving wood by the fire. We stain the raw edges with a deep, rich color, sealing up the leather so it looks good and lasts a long time. 2 needles weave back and forth through the holes, pulling the waxed thread tight enough to hold a saddle on a wild bronco. Even the smallest buckle gets the royal treatment pieced together with a care that ensures it will never let you down out there. We polish every single link in the chain until it is smooth as silk, ready to wrap around your wrist with heavy comfort. The clasp snaps shut with a sound of authority, locking the band together so it stays put through thick and thin every day. We drive the pins in deep to hold the links, building a bracelet that is strong enough to tow a truck if needed. Out of the hot mold comes a strap of black rubber tough enough to handle the mud and the rain without complaining once. We push the steel bar into the rubber loop, getting ready to join the soft band to the hard metal of the case. A satisfying click tells you the connection is made solid and secure as a handshake between 2 old friends meeting on the street. We twist it and turn it to the breaking point because if it cannot take a beating here, it is not worth selling. A final coat of paint on the edge smooths it all out, adding a touch of class to the rugged strength of leather. Rows upon rows of trays stack up high in the vault, a library of time waiting for the moment to be sent out. The robot runner zips down the aisle faster than a jackrabbit, grabbing the right box without ever making a single mistake or pause. We listen close with a sensitive ear to the heartbeat, checking the rhythm against the perfection of atomic time in a quiet room. Deep under the water pressure, the seals hold tight against the force, keeping the inside dry as a bone in the desert sun. We take it from the crushing deep water straight into the invisible magnetic storm, proving that nothing on Earth can shake its steady rhythm. Once the testing is done, a robotic eye scans every single inch, looking for trouble with a gaze that never blinks or sleeps. A master with hands as steady as a rock gives it the final look, overturning it in the light to catch flaws. We punch those buttons thousands of times in a row, making sure the action is crisp and the return is snappy every time. Air hisses out as the chambers open up wide, revealing watches that have survived the vacuum of space without losing a single beat. The winder spins them round and round like a whirlwind, charging up the power reserve so they are ready to go the distance. When the lights go out, we measure the glow to ensure you can read the time, even on the darkest moonless Texas night. Back under the bright lights, we check the polish on the hands one last time because perfection is the only standard we accept. We snap that clasp shut and listen for the click, the sound of security that tells you this watch is not going anywhere. It goes onto the scale for a final weigh-in because every fraction of a gram counts when you are building a legend. The printer spits out a paper that proves its worth, a certificate of authenticity that is as good as gold in the bank. Gloved hands open up the heavy wooden box, revealing a bed of velvet that is soft enough for a king to rest on. We lay the finished piece down on the cushion with care, a perfect marriage of metal and fabric, ready for the big reveal. The warranty card slides into the leather wallet alongside the manual, promising a lifetime of service and reliability down the long, winding road. We slide the wooden chest into a sturdy outer shell, packing it tight so it arrives safely, no matter how far it travels. In the office upstairs, the boss checks the numbers and gives the nod, knowing another batch of excellence is ready for the world. Under the studio lights, the watch spins and shines, showing off every curve and angle that makes it a true work of art. The forklift heavy lifts the pallets onto the truck bed as the sun goes down, sending our hard work out on the road. From the loading dock to the luxury store, the safe door swings open to welcome the new arrival into its secure metal home. The box slides across the glass counter with a hush, and you can feel the anticipation building up in the quiet air tonight. You lift it up and feel the cold steel against your skin, snapping that buckle shut with a sound that means business today. Out here in the golden light of evening, that sapphire glass catches the fading sun and shines like a beacon on the hill. We go back to the start where the cutters grind and the lasers measure every tiny pivot to within a single hair's width. Even the scraps of brass are gathered up with care because we do not waste a single thing when we are building greatness. The lapping machine swirls round and round, smoothing out the flat surfaces until they are level as a calm lake in the morning. We press a ring of solid gold into the bridge plate, making a home for the jewel that is fit for a king. A steady hand takes a file to the rough edges, smoothing away the burrs until the metal feels soft as a baby's cheek. We insert the tiny stud that anchors the spring, a microscopic job that requires nerves of steel and eyes like a hunting eagle. The wheel spins free on the rig, perfectly balanced and true without a single wobble to throw off the rhythm of the beat. We press the ceramic ring into steel with a heavy hand marrying two materials that will stand up to the hardest of knocks. Take a sharp tool to that black ceramic face and watch it slide right off without leaving so much as a single scratch. We blast it with purple light that mimics the harsh desert sun, proving the colors will stay true for 100 years more. The needle punches through the thick alligator hide with a rhythmic thud, stitching a line that is straighter than a barbed wire fence. We grind swirling circles into the brass plate one by one, creating a pattern that catches the light like ripples on the water. A stick of wood and diamond paste polish the bevel, turning a sharp edge into a mirror that shines like the morning star. Into the blue bath it goes, where electricity coats the brass in silver armor to keep it safe from the ravages of time. A blast of air blows the water away in an instant, leaving the parts dry and ready for the next step in line. The soft pad picks up the ink and kisses the dial, leaving a mark that is crisp, clean, and bold as can be. We check the clearance with a gauge to make sure those hands can sweep freely without ever touching the glass or each other. The cutter carves deep into the heavy gold weight, writing our name in metal so everyone knows exactly who built this fine machine. Watch those tiny steel screws turn from silver to purple and then to cornflower blue on the hot plate, just like magic before your eyes. We use a gentle puff of air to clear the dust, leaving that white dial cleaner than fresh snow on a cold winter morning. We dip the basket into the special solution that keeps the oil in check, making sure it stays put like cattle in a fenced pen. The calendar ring slides into its track and snaps into place, counting down the days with a steady rhythm that you can always trust. We push the steel stem deep into the heart of the movement, connecting your hand to the gears with a satisfying and solid mechanical click. Give it a turn and feel the spring tighten up, storing power like a coiled lasso ready to be thrown at a galloping target. The laser runs its red eye over the long metal hand, checking that it is flat and true before we ever send it to work. We press the hour hand down onto the pinion with a gentle touch, lining it up perfectly with the mark at the 12 o'clock high. Next comes the minute hand, stacked high but never touching, sweeping over the dial like a hawk circling low over the wide open Texas plains. The second hand is the finest of them all, and when it starts to sweep, you know the heart is beating strong and true today. We sweep the inside of the glass with a sticky tip, hunting down every last speck of dust so the view remains clear as day. Gentle hands lower the finished engine into the steel case, a perfect fit that feels as right as slipping a foot into a custom boot. We snip the steel stem to the exact right length, filing down the rough end until it is smooth and ready for the crown cap. A dab of glue holds it tight as we screw the stem into the crown, making a handle for you to command the time itself. Slide it into the tube and feel the gears engage a solid connection that lets you set the pace of your own personal life journey. We lock the movement down with tiny steel clamps and screws, ensuring it never shifts or shakes no matter how rough the road might get. A little bit of grease on the rubber ring goes a long way, keeping the water out and the precision mechanics dry inside the case. We start the threads by hand to make sure they mesh right, turning the steel back until it sits flush against the rubber seal ring. The big tool grips the case and twists it shut, with force locking the door on the outside world to protect the treasure within. We suck the air out of the chamber to test the seal, watching the gauge to make sure the case holds its breath under pressure. The dome lifts and the seal breaks with a hiss, proving this watch is tight enough to handle deep water without taking a single sip. We blow warm air across the steel to chase off the damp, keeping it dry as a bone before we pack it up for good. A soft cloth wipes away every smudge until that metal shines bright enough to signal a plane coming in for a landing on the strip. We set it on the scale for one last check, because getting the weight exactly right is just part of the deal around these parts. The machine spits out a paper that carries our solemn promise, a guarantee of quality that stands as tall as an oil derrick on the plains. We lift the lid on a box of fine dark wood, revealing a velvet bed inside that is soft enough for a king to rest. Wrap the band around the pillow and snap it shut tight, securing the treasure where it will stay safe and sound for the long haul. The warranty card slides into the wallet with the book, a packet of knowledge to help you down the road with your new time machine. We slide the heavy wooden box into a black sleeve, tucking it in tight for the journey that lies ahead on the open highway road. The scanner beeps and the system gives the green light, marking this package ready to ship out to folks waiting in towns near and far. Before we cut metal, a pencil scratches on rough paper, dreaming up curves that will one day become a legend sitting right on your wrist. We take those sketches to the screen and draw with light, refining every angle until it looks sharp enough to cut glass on the display. A laser draws in a pool of liquid resin, pulling a solid model out of the goo like magic rising from the deep dark water. We wash off the sticky resin to show the shape underneath a plastic ghost of the steel beauty that is soon fixin' to be born. Calipers slide shut to check the size of the model, making sure the math adds up before we commit to cutting the real hard metal. White powder pours into the mold like sugar in a bowl, and the press squeezes it into a block that is harder than river rock. We bake those blocks in a fire that burns red hot, fusing dust into ceramic that is tougher than the hide of an old rhino. Only a diamond wheel can cut this stuff, now grinding away dust to reveal a case that will never scratch or show its true age. We press a diamond point into the metal to test its grit, proving it has the backbone to stand up to a life of hard knocks. The hammer swings down with a heavy thud, hitting the case to make sure the movement inside can take a punch and keep on ticking. We shake it harder than a pickup driving down a washboard road to make sure it holds together when the going gets mighty rough. Then we freeze it down deep until ice covers the glass, proving it can handle a winter night that would freeze a pond solid. That robot twists the leather back and forth, endlessly testing the grain to ensure it will not crack under the strain of daily wear. We spray it with a salty mist that mimics the ocean air, checking that rust never finds a foothold on this fine steel armor. The machine spins that crown faster than a dust devil, proving the winding gears are tough enough to last for a lifetime of use. Back at the bench, a master rubs steel on a block until it turns black as midnight and shines like a deep pool of water. We press the ruby home with a force that is firm and true, seating the bearing so the wheel can spin with skyr without a care. One by one, the golden wheels drop into place, meshing together in a mechanical dance that drives the hands around the dial all day. A needle fine as a hair drops oil on the stone, a slick coating that keeps the engine running smooth as silk for years. We watch the heartbeat on the screen and tune the spring, tightening the rhythm until it matches the pulse of the universe exactly right. The robot driver checks the tightness one last time, making sure every screw holds fast like a fence post in the hard ground. A laser beam writes the unique number deep into the bridge, branding this machine just like a calf at the spring roundup time. We blow away the invisible dust with a stream of air, clearing the path for the face that will tell you the time. The dial locks onto the movement with a solid grip, setting the stage for the performance that is about to start right now. We press the big hands down onto their posts, stacking them high, but keeping them clear so they can sweep without touching anything. When that thin second hand drops into place, the whole thing wakes up and starts to march forward with a steady, rhythmic beat. We secure the engine inside a steel ring that fits tight, holding it steady against the shocks of the long and dusty road. The weight snaps onto the back and spins free, gathering up energy from every move you make to keep the fire burning strong. A slick coat of grease on the threads ensures the back screws down smooth, sealing out the elements like a good storm cellar. We put the squeeze on it with air pressure, watching the crystal closely to make sure the seal is tight as a drum. The robot hand lifts it up with a gentle touch, moving it down the line to where the cameras are waiting to see. Lights flash faster than lightning in a summer storm, capturing every single angle to hunt down scratches that the human eye might miss. The computer gives us the green light of approval, telling us this piece is perfect and ready to face the wide open world. We peel and stick the clear film over the steel, protecting that mirror finish until the rightful owner decides to peel it off. We tie the tag on the bracelet to show it is certified, a badge of honor that proves it keeps time true always. We fold the bracelet over a soft pillow, letting the metal rest easy on the velvet before it starts its life of work. It slides into the compartment with a hush, looking like a jewel in a crown sitting there in the rich, dark wooden box. We tuck the leather pouch and tools into the side, giving you everything you need to keep this machine running right for years. The heavy lid comes down with a solid thud, closing the book on the making and opening the door to the selling part. We slide the box into its black sleeve, wrapping it up tight for the long journey from our hands to your front door. The label prints out and then we stick it on the box, sending it down the line to get shipped out to the waiting world. It rolls down the belt through the scanner light, joining a whole pallet of brothers ready to leave the factory floor for good. We wrap the stack tight in plastic to keep it safe, binding the load together for the long ride that lies ahead tonight. The forklift raises the heavy load with a whine of electric power, moving the treasure from the floor up to the waiting truck. Inside the dark trailer, the cargo sits secure while the big rig rumbles down the highway, chasing the lights of the big city. Morning light hits the street as we roll the boxes into the store, delivering the goods just before the city wakes up fully. We scan them into the system and stack them on the shelves, organizing the stock in the quiet room behind the showroom floor. A cloth wipes the glass until it disappears completely, setting a clear stage for the star of the show to make its debut. We take the watch out of the box and place it on velvet, adjusting the band so it sits proud and looks perfect. Click those lights into place and watch the steel catch the fire, making sure it sparkles enough to stop folks in their tracks. The key slides into the lock with a smooth mechanical slide, opening the glass door to let the customer get a closer look. Gloved hands reach in with respect to lift the timepiece out, treating it like the precious piece of engineering that it truly is. We slide the leather tray across the cool glass counter, presenting the masterpiece to you with a silent promise of true, lasting excellence. Stop. You reach out your hand to touch the cold steel, feeling the anticipation build up in the quiet air of the luxury room. Pick it up and feel the weight of quality in your palm, turning it over to see the mechanics working through the back. Wrap the bracelet around your wrist and snap that clasp shut, listening for the click that tells you this one belongs to you. Turn your wrist in the light and watch the dial shine a perfect companion that looks right at home on your arm today. The card hits the glass and the deal is finally done, signing your name to take a piece of history home with you. Step out the door into the noise of the city street carrying a secret engine on your wrist that keeps on ticking perfectly. Grip the leather wheel and drive on down the open road with the sun flashing off the bezel as you chase the horizon. Even when you are working hard in the high-rise office, that watch sits there reminding you of the craftsmanship that built it. Relax with a glass of the good stuff as the ice clinks, admiring the way the light plays off the polished steel case. Take a walk in the park as the sun starts to dip, listening to the birds while time moves forward on your wrist. As the sun sets and the sky turns purple and orange, the glow on the dial tells you the day is almost done. It is more than just a machine of gears and springs. It is a heartbeat that will keep on ticking forever and ever.